Recording? Perfect. All right, we are recording. David, first of all, I just want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join us today. And just like I said to everybody before, David Schloss is the absolute master when it comes to Facebook ads. We've done work together for about almost 2 years now, actually. A great guy, one of a good friends of mine. But really, where he specializes in is running Facebook ads. So, for instance, we just got off a consultation with one of our clients here about 2 hours ago, and we were going through campaigns for real estate. We were going through native advertising. We were going through fitness products. And when I don't know, I ask David because David knows most of the information because he runs so many campaigns. So I did want to bring him on here today. We can talk about Facebook ads. And David, you can say hello.
Hey guys, how you all doing? I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, awesome. Um, so, I kind of want to start off with some topics about Facebook, and really use this as kind of an advanced training. When I was making the Respark Masterclass with Devin, one of the things I didn't want to do was that I hate doing is overwhelming people with information. And you know this more than most, David, and I do too, is that it's so easy to make a course with a lot of modules and all this stuff that everyone just gets stuck in. So
hmm
um, really want to give content as we go. So here we are on an advanced webinar. So let me ask you a question, and one of the biggest questions I hear all the time: what's the most important thing for ads? And if it was someone was asking me that question, the most important thing for ads, it's about knowing your audience
Yeah,
before you even start an ad. What would you say?
it's definitely your audience, and it's finding the right people that suit what it is you're trying to sell. My belief is that the research process is quite possibly the most important part of crafting your ads. Because you can have a terrible looking ad image, a terrible piece of ad copy written, but if you have the right people targeted for that specific ad, someone will click it, even if it's just one person. And that may be the one individual who doesn't care about copy and wants to buy your product anyway. Research is extremely important, and I spend most of my time when creating Facebook campaigns in the research process. It's literally 50% of my time is just on research.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And I was just talking about that we were on this past consultation. So one of the clients that we're moving into is a fitness product. So I think for us, the biggest part before we even can launch an ad, and this is just something that everyone should walk away from, is that we spend that time looking at. You mentioned this competitive research, right? What are
Mhm.
people out there doing already that we can learn from, modify from, and grow from? And that way we're not just shooting in the dark. And a lot of what I've tried to create in Ad Respark was the ability to create ads from a base already, something that's working already. Now just tweak it and take it to the next level. So the same idea could happen with your audience. You can learn from people that are already doing this. What kind of things are you doing for research, David? What are you using? What kind of tools? And maybe I'll go into a little bit of some of the stuff that I do, but what are you using to get that research done?
So I use a different variety of, not really tools, but I would just say different websites. I mean, there are some tools out there that are very similar to like an online web-based tool to do audience research, or you can just simply use these certain URLs. So I look at the Audience Insight tool, obviously within Facebook. It gives me enough information to get started, but it's not the end-all, be-all for the research. That's just my starting point, is the Audience Insight tool in Facebook. My best tool right now that most people don't use is the Google Display Planner. I use Google to find interests, websites, YouTube channel names, so on and so forth that could be potential interests inside of Facebook that may not have popped up in my initial research just on the Insight tool. And I use Google because, I mean, well, it's the biggest search engine on the planet, and it gives you more information than what Facebook delivers to you. You have to dig, and Google allows you to just pull more information that you would never find in Facebook. That's honestly one of my best tools right now. I also use SimilarWeb just to see similar websites to what it is that I'm creating, and I also like to use that tool because it shows me other websites and other offers that are similar to what it is that I'm creating, and then I can mimic what they are doing because they wouldn't have that same landing page up if it wasn't already converting. So not only does it allow me to see what the competitors are doing, I can also then target those same websites as a potential interest in Facebook and see if that audience is responsive to what it is I am going to offer on Facebook as an ad. I mean, those three things alone is all I need when it comes to doing research. You can always dig deeper into what you find when doing your research using those tools, and that's why I don't believe you need more than those three.
Well, I was going to go through some of the stuff that I do, but I think you you already nailed most of it. So, guys, similarweb.com, and I'll put it in the chat for everyone. I love this site. I just spent like pretty much a couple hours yesterday just preparing for that fitness one. And what I was doing is I went out there and I went to Google and I found some very big brands. Like I was thinking about where I could go to find people that wanted to have a protein product. But when I started going through SimilarWeb, I was able to find related websites that I didn't even think of, which was related angles. So going into a more health niche, more of a health niche area. And then I started looking at more, green protein powders that are out there. And then it got me into other health food areas. And then I realized that there was all these angles I never even thought of. And then it got me into like certain magazines that were perfect magazines that I would never have been able to find that would be great audience, targets for Facebook. And that's exactly what we're
Mhm.
probably going to use is those exact targets. So one of the questions someone just asked was, what was the Google tool? And it was Google Display. I'll just type
Mhm.
it in for everyone.
Google Display Planner.
Now you guys can Google that. I believe it's inside AdWords network, so you would be in like the Google AdWords area. And when you
Yep,
get in, is it? Yeah.
yep. You have to have an AdWords account to access it.
Okay. So most of you, if you're not in AdWords yet, it's a free sign up with your Google account. And you gotta do a couple of things in their AdWords planner, but they have a tool in there called Google Display Planner. And I'll get you guys a link afterwards to make sure everyone gets that. And the other one was the Audience Insights tool. Just a quick show of hands, everyone that's on the call, maybe just type in either in a question or the chat, just give me a one or raise your hand if you guys have used the Audience Insight tools. I mean, we can use this time right now to kind of dig in there a little bit. I just want to make sure everyone has some familiarity with it. Okay, cool. So a lot of people seem to have used it. What I'll do is we can even um, yeah, Daniel said the keyword tool is also inside AdWords. Yeah, absolutely. That's the Google Display Planner that we were just talking about. So it's a really good one to find other terms and stuff like that and go back. Tony said that he has not used it. So Tony, maybe we'll even do a video training just that we'll put inside the masterclass area of just how to use that section of Facebook. But it seems a lot of people here have used it, so I don't want to go too far into that path right now. But like I was saying, SimilarWeb, Google Display Planner, and the Audience Insight tools. And really what you want to do is, and David, you may have your own method, but I like to try to narrow it down to knowing a general age range of my avatar, knowing male or female, what the percentage I think it's going to be male or female, and then I actually look at those tests in Facebook and I actually try to then segment more. I have my interests, and then I try to see if there's a secondary, what we call like a secondary layer of interest that we can target. That might be a behavioral layer, that might be a job title, that might be an income level. I use a secondary one to not just use interest. And David, maybe talk about when you'd use a secondary versus using an interest, so you're not like kind of cutting your audience up too much.
Right, so I typically use a second layer or a behavior when, well, first off, you have to check whether or not that behavior is relevant to the interest that you are targeting. So, for example, if you are in the real estate space, there are some behaviors when searching and creating your ad set in the Power Editor or in the Ads Manager of Facebook that you just simply start typing in specific keywords and the behaviors will start to appear because there's lots of categories inside of the behavior field. So for example, if you're targeting real estate, there is a behavior for real estate investing. Now, does that mean that the people that appear within that behavior, people most susceptible to engaging and buying real estate investing education or real estate education, does that mean that those are going to be the people you want to target in the beginning? Maybe not. And the reason why I add the second layer is when I've already done some initial testing. So a lot of people add the behavior in the beginning, thinking, okay, I've set up my ad set, everything is good. This behavior is going to be the exact people I want. That's not always the case. Now, Facebook is just giving you an idea of the people who appear in the behavior. It doesn't mean that that is the concrete, exact, these are the people you want to target. It's just an additional layer. So I always test behavior versus non-behavior, and I see whether or not the people who appear in the behavior are more responsive to an offer versus the people who are not. So it's just simply another way of testing your offers, is adding that extra behavior.
Yeah, and I totally. I paused the screen for everyone, just in case you're wondering. I paused the screen because I wanted to come into one of these manager accounts, and so the behavior section is down here. So we have our interests, and we can kind of cruise through our interests, or we can type them out. And you'll see that we have capital, and then when you're going through like actual interest, we also have lowercase um, interest here. David, how would you describe these differently?
So the uppercase versions, or the ones that are, well, they're spelled out correctly, the first letter is uppercase versus them not being that way. If they are all lowercase, those are precise interests. So a couple of years ago, Facebook used to have a specific field called precise interests, and they would be all lowercase variables of a interest. So, for example, if you type Ryan Dice is all lowercase because that is a precise interest of all the people who are interested in Ryan Dice. All right. Usually, when you have a uppercase version of a interest or a keyword, for example, like Tony Robbins, when you search Tony Robbins, he does come up as a completely uppercase based interest, but he also appears as a lowercase, as you can see, two versions. The one that is lowercase is more precise. It's also 4 times less in audience size. Still very large, but it's also 4 times less because those are the people who constantly talk about Tony Robbins. So if you have to choose between the larger or the smaller audience, I start with the smaller audience first, and then once my offer is dialed in, I move into the larger one because you don't want to blow your money on something that you haven't tested yet.
Right. And a lot of times, guys, I like to start with just one interest in here. So I do one interest for one ad, and I'll do $5 to start it just to see how it goes. A lot of the campaigns that we'll run, sometimes we stack interests. Maybe you can explain why sometimes you stack the interest and sometimes you do individual interests.
Right, so that truly depends on the niche that you're in, right? Are you selling a physical product versus a digital? Are you in, internet marketing, or are you in real estate? Every market is different when setting up your ads in Facebook. For example, when I target people in the real estate space, I do one interest at a time because each interest has a different type of audience and they respond differently to each offer. Whereas if I'm selling, let's say, a physical product in the camping space, I may cluster several interests together because a lot of these people fall into multiple categories. So you'd want to bunch up or cluster these interests together because it's a lot of the same people. So if it was a camping product, you type in camping, outdoor and camping, like hiking, anything that has to do with outdoor stuff, bunch them together, and it comes out to 1 or 2 million people in an audience, but they're all very, very similar.
Awesome. So someone just asked, how many ad sets do you usually put in your ads? So I think it's the other way around. How many ads do you put in your ad sets? But typically we'll do an ad set for each interest, right? Interest that we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then I usually minimum put 2 ads in there so I can split test them together and make sure that those I'll use a similar image or similar text and then change either the image or change the text, but I'm only changing like 1 or 2 things about them so that I can really tell which ads are doing better. And that's one of the cool things about the Ad Respark system is about let's get ads out quickly so that we can test these. So we'll test these 2 ads. Okay, they're only getting like 1% click-through rate. Let's test another version and another version, testing the text on there. So that's the easy part about the creatives. But what would you say there? Because I usually say 2 to start because it's all about budget. And then I would do as many ad sets as I want for my interest. But again, it's about my budget. If I'm only trying to spend $10 a day, then I might only have 1 ad set at a time. If I have up to $20 a day in budget, I'll have 2 ad sets with 2 ads in each ad set.
Yeah, I typically set up an ad set to include minimum 2 ads, and most of the time I do 3. But for most people, 2 is enough. And in terms of how many ad sets to create, like you said, if your budget is $20 a day, you could set up two $10 a day campaigns or four $5 a day campaigns. And it's just merely having the budget set up correctly, allocated correctly so that you can monitor everything efficiently, but no less than two ads per ad set for tracking so that you can allow Facebook to optimize for you. If you decide to go three, well, it's the same format. You're just having three ads compete against each other. And what I found is that if you include more than three ads in one given ad set, you never truly get a big enough sample size in all your ads running inside of the ad set. Facebook just seems to not respond well to more than three ads inside of an ad set. So
Yeah,
two to three.
that's genius. That's great. Um, and one of the things I just kind of want to circle back to this because we kind of jumped over. I came into the account to do this one specific thing I forgot, but the behavior section, guys. The behavior section is really really cool. And I was actually just in Fort Lauderdale not long ago with David at a mastermind, and he showed me this. But one of the cool things, there's all kinds of cool stuff in here. There's like purchase behavior, so you can find people with people that come in here and buy clothing. So if you're doing a lot of seasonal clothing, you can find seasonal shoppers. And again, these behaviors are coming from basically research groups. So it's not 100% perfect, but it's just like David said, it's giving you another layer of what Facebook thinks is right. So there's purchase habits, purchase types. So you can find people that buy specific products. So like electronics, if you're selling electronics, you're selling sports and outdoors like camping equipment and stuff like that, hunting and camping. There's an entire section of people with behaviors that like the hiking and camping. And again, you can see how it's being put together. One of the other cool things I saw in here that we found recently was subscription services, which is really cool. So you could find people that have, mortgages on online mortgages and stuff like that. So you can see what they're paying for, where they're traveling. So if you're doing any type of CPA offers, you can look at stuff like that. There's baseball stuff in here. So if you're selling T-shirts around baseball or basketball, whatever, like there's all these really cool things in here. But I think the one that we found that was really cool was digital activities. In digital activities, there's event creators. There's people that run Facebook payments. So there's Facebook page admins, Facebook payments. So like I might be targeting for at Respark, right? A good idea for me to target at Respark would be people that are actually running Facebook ads. So I might target Ryan Dice and people that have Facebook payments, people that have recent Facebook payments, Facebook page admins, and I'm not saying you have to stack all these. I'm just saying these are good ideas. But now I have an audience of 250,000 people that like Ryan Dice. Ryan Dice is in the the marketing business realm. So people that probably have their own business are interested in starting their own business with behaviors that they're doing. One of these things, they're actually paying Facebook for advertising. So if I'm now selling a product or giving away templates for people to do better advertising, that's a really, really good target. Now, I haven't fixed my age and gender. What I found is in this specific niche for these type of products, I found 35 to 55 works really well, and I usually target men. So I have an audience of about 77,000 people with all of these there that are really good, kind of super targeted people to go after. And David, I mean, maybe you can talk about some other cool behavior stuff you found in here because I've just gone through this and found so many cool things.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I've been testing out lately that not a lot of people really look into is people who are traveling to a destination. So if you are, let's say, promoting an event and you want to target people who are traveling to that specific area, under the locations section in Facebook, if you go up top, David,
Yeah,
there's actually see where it says everyone in this location? Scroll down. It's
yeah,
right above where it says age. People who are traveling in this location. So people traveling in and people who are traveling to are obviously two different things. But people who are traveling in means they're either leaving or they're heading into the location. I'm still testing this right now. But what this allows you to do is see who are the travelers. And in most cases for events, you have a lot of people who fly into a destination. And if they constantly frequent that destination, you're able to then market them with event details. Hey, there's an event coming up in Miami, Florida in the next month. Since we see that you travel here all the time, you can, give them a some sort of deal on if they come back and they plan to attend this event, you could show them the event ad. There's a lot of ways that this could be spun. And also in the behaviors, there is a specific behavior just for business travelers.
Yeah, I see in travel there's all kinds of stuff, business travelers. Now that's some really ninja stuff. I didn't even know about that, but there's some cool stuff in here I just saw, which is people who live in this location, which like for real estate and stuff, it is really cool. If you're working for like a real estate agent or something like that, helping them find leads. Um, People recently in this location, that's pretty cool for like local business and stuff like that. Traveling. Obviously, they also have the demographic side of stuff, which for some reason is not popping up, probably because I have these.
Airlines actually use, when they do their Facebook ads, they use the everyone or the people recently in this location when it comes to location.
Yeah, and
So
then you can
they'll
have like
target all
direct.
the people. Yeah, they'll just target them with an ad that says, "Hey, we see that you've been in Miami lately. We have a deal to Miami for $99 one way, and we'd love to see you again." So they target them with airfare deals to come back. So yeah, it's just a clever way to target people who are going
And
from place to place.
and you can target by zip. So going back to like a camping example, you could even like look at like the top 10 like national parks in America where you would go camping and then run
Hmm.
ads to people who were recently in this location in zips of camping, or look in the zips where there's basketball stadiums. I mean, I guess you could do basketball stadiums, people recently in that location, and sell
Hmm.
um, t-shirts for that specific thing. So that's really cool. I didn't even know about that.
Yeah,
Um,
sports teams do that all the time. I
yeah.
know that when basketball season's going on, my favorite team, the Miami Heat, they decide to market to everyone in a 50-mile radius that if you were at the stadium or in the zip code, they sell you T-shirts and jerseys because you're either at the game or you're nearby. And they basically just target everyone in that demographic, saying, "Hey, represent your team, or just support your team by buying some sort of merchandise." And they do it all the time.
Yeah, I mean that's fantastic. That's super super interesting. Now, the more you guys get into this, like one of the things that you should be doing is, of course, having a custom audience pixel, and it's something that we've talked about in the previous training stuff. Is the custom audience and the retargeting, and why that's so important. But custom audiences also can help you do some other cool stuff, like while you're running ads and you're aggregating this data, you can take those custom audiences back into the audience insights editor, and you can learn more about them. And that way, when you come back in, you can do more specific type of targeting here. So you might say, okay, well, everyone like you said that likes Miami Heat is in Miami, but also most of the people that are coming in, are that are buying the products that are in our custom audience of buyers are interested in women. They're men interested in women between the ages of 18 and 35. They might have another thing. They might say, okay, well, they're interested in Miami Heat, um, and they are. I'm just trying to think of a good one as an example here. We have another good one here, but their education level. A lot of these people might just have associate's degrees. Um, they might be in a high school grad. So we're seeing most of the education levels there. And the behavior levels, they might actually, be a purchase behavior of someone who has a buyer profile of sportsmen. Well, it's actually not the right kind of sportsman. Men, no, nothing good in there. What do you think would be good for clothing here? Purchase.
In the field, type in sports and see what comes up. That's typically what I do. I just
Boom. That's even smarter. Um, so we could even do clothes. We could just do men's clothes. Would be just as simple.
mhm.
And just do something like that. So you're only targeting 58,000 people, but you could do Miami and make this super targeted. But this is what happens when you start learning more about your audience. And you'll see already we've cut it down so much. So if I go up 50, it's only 1,000 people. So one of these things I might want to cut out is,
Cut out the education level.
the education levels.
Hmm.
And you'll see already we jumped up
But
like 800%. So, that's really, really cool. All right, so I wanted to talk about that. That's just kind of using the custom audiences to learn about what you're doing. Obviously, you would just take that into the audience insight editor, and it also give you a lot of other cool things like other fan pages to target, other interests that you might not have even thought about. Like a lot of times, I'll put audience into the audience insight editor, and it will show me, like, going back to the protein, that people that also like protein are buying, I don't know, almond milk. Like I would never think about those two being related. I guess now that I said it, it kind of does make sense. But I could just target like silk almond milk and use protein and say this would go great with almond milk, right? Using something like that. But yeah, that's really, really what's so powerful about knowing your audience. And I think for everyone on this call, the number one thing I want you to take away from is just try to learn as much as you can. Go in here, create your ads, and then learn from what you're sending. What I wanted to talk about next, David, quickly, which is talking about what you're seeing with image types as far as ads. What are you working with as far as backgrounds? Are you using vectors? Are you using face shots? Are you using background colors? What are you seeing that's working?
lots and lots of personal brands using their basically just a face shot of them, like the brand themselves, the person. Putting themselves in the ad works incredibly well because it's a familiar face with an audience that already knows who they are. Now, if you are someone that no one knows who you are, so for example, if I'm digging into real estate and no one knows who I am in real estate, well then putting my face on an ad is not going to do anything. So what I have to do is create a ad that is calling out who it is that I want to click on my ad, right? Attention real estate investors, attention anyone looking to make a living in real estate. There's a lot of ways to do it. And it's not even about the color scheme. It's just on, is the ad attractive enough for someone to want to stop in the news feed? Is the ad blending into the feed like a blog post, or is it standing out like an annoying ad? And that's really what I pay attention to, because people are very familiar with ads now on Facebook. They just know. They know when something's an ad. So you want to have images that are very similar to what you'd see in a blog post appearing on your newsfeed, because that's what people are clicking. That's what people are sharing, is whether or not an ad looks like a blog post. So, it's hard for me to say whether or not I'm using everything is face shots, everything is red backgrounds, everything is high crisp, high quality images. It's all different. But when you are doing something that blends into the feed, people are going to click it. So how do you know what's going to blend in? You test a custom image, something you have done designer, or something done by just any concept that you've come up with, versus, let's say, testing just a traditional stock photo that maybe you sort of tweak a little bit to put some text on it. And that is how you'll know whether or not something is working in your space. Answer your question?
Yeah, definitely. And I definitely think, the two things to be attentive to, guys, on this is ad congruency. So making sure that your ad backgrounds, whatever they are, colors, or the images have some relevancy to what you're talking about, even a little bit, so that when they're clicking through, they have already the idea of what they're going to be looking at. Especially with the ad text, this is so important. So if you're talking about something in your ad text is saying one thing, and then they click through to a page, and there's totally unrelated images to whatever they clicked on in their ad, and the colors and everything are all different. There's a really weird disconnect, and people, when they're clicking on stuff, they feel that. So you want to look at as much ad congruency as you can. Make sure your ad and your text are relating to where your next page is. Now, as far as what I still do with some of my ads is I'm always testing, and that's again one of the reasons why I built Respark for myself, was just to get ads out to test, but was to test different image stock types, to test colors. I still do a lot of stuff with borders. I know David's talking about don't do a lot of stuff with that when it looks like an ad, but I still like to test, because sometimes I'll do a blog post and I won't get a very good click-through rate, but I'll do a really annoying standout ad and I'll get a great click-through rate. And I totally agree. I think people know that things are ads, but sometimes I just like to test that, because if you are selling a t-shirt, a consumer good, people, even if they're getting advertised to, are okay clicking on a t-shirt. When we're talking about
Mhm.
specific niches like, oh, there's a real estate program that we're selling, or information real estate program, it's a lot harder to be like, click on my ad, this is so cool, because it's not necessarily consumer good. It's something that they have to be indoctrinated to seeing. So really think
Right.
about what might fit for your offer. If you're selling, dog food, people don't mind seeing ads for dog food as much. They're used to being advertised for that. Versus if you're selling a training course on how to train your dog, they might want some information first on, why their dog isn't trained properly, or the benefit, like the things that could happen if you don't train your dog well, or all this kind of stuff, right? So reasons to get them interested in it. Those are two different offers. So you got to think about them differently.
Absolutely. And by the way, the whole border versus non-border thing, in some spaces, borders have never been used, and in others, it's been overused. So you can always test whether or not a border is going to help with your click rates. I know that in some spaces that I've tested, especially with physical product sales, borders get the attention of people who typically buy the product. So as soon as they see the border and they stop in the feed, they remember, oh yeah, I need to go buy this thing, right? Because they're more susceptible to just stopping and looking and actually reading into something. Whereas if I added a border to an ad, and let's say, I don't know, the advertising space, like I want to sell some training to advertisers, they look at that and they already know what it is, so they just skip past it. It doesn't cater to them. They don't care. They just browse past it. So it's worth testing. I just personally know a lot of niches that don't respond to borders, but there are many others that do. So just make sure you're testing.
So the key word to walk away from today, guys, no testing. Now, this isn't a word, know your audience, but know your audience and congruency. So those are like three main things that you constantly want to think about. Is your audience going to respond to this? Is this congruent to the next page they're going to? And I already forgot the last one, so that's great.
Just
Uh,
testing.
and
Testing is
testing,
really
testing
important.
everything as quickly as possible and as much as possible. So talking about the congruency thing, I just want to talk about, like, you just want to make sure, though. I see this all the time. People are congruent from their ad to their page, but as soon as they, someone opts in, or they leave and they're getting retargeted to, or they purchase a product and they go to the next page, they stop being congruent. So I want you guys to be attentive and aware that when you're retargeting, you want to retarget with a congruent message to where they just were. You can talk to them personally, like, hey, I noticed you just left, but don't start talking like with a different voice, or like doing something that you didn't do on their initial page, because they were there, they read it. You want to talk to them in the same way, but with a different angle. And you also want to make sure that if they purchase or they opt in, that you're not changing design schemes, or you're going to crazy other language, like you're talking to them a totally different way, or you're just being really vague. Try to be as congruent as you can through your entire funnel, because what's going to happen is when you start getting into your retargeting campaigns, where you're retargeting people back to sales pages, your conversions will work so much more. You can really break this process just by skipping that step. And it's an easy step to do. It's just being congruent with the languaging that you're doing, with the ad types, how you're talking to people. So when you talk to them the first time, try to talk to them in a similar style the last time. If you're coming as a personal brand that's calming, and you're helping them with problems that they're having, you got to have that same style voice all the way through. You can't at the end be saying something totally different that kind of breaks your messaging, and it makes, as just a marketing way, just a marketing perspective, is really, really painful to your brand. Um, and then, of course, the last thing, guys, is testing quickly. Get your ads up, get them going for $5 a day. Start scaling them to 10 once you start seeing results, but turn them off if they're not doing anything. What are some of the things that you're looking at, David, when you're quickly going through, your ads manager, and you're turning off ads? Because I'm very big about going through my ads manager. I'll just turn off ads at will. But what are you looking for specifically when you're turning off some ads?
Well, the first thing I do is when I'm setting up ads, I let them run for at least 3 days before I start turning things off. At least 3 days. Because unless you're spending $50 or $100 a day per ad set in the beginning, you're not getting enough data for Facebook to optimize your campaign correctly. It takes some time. Now, if you're targeting to a very broad niche, let's say 1 million+ people in the ad set, and you only want to spend $10, I mean, you're going to hit a lot of people really quickly. So you can make some assumptions on whether or not the ads or the specific ad set is going to work. But in most cases, if we're doing, one interest per ad set, $5 a day, that sort of thing, you want to let the ads run for at least 3 days. And then once I've done that, when I'm going through each ad set and looking at each individual ad, I look at the ad CTR versus the website CTR, so the click-through rates. I want to know how well are the ads responding to the audience versus how many people are actually clicking through. Okay, that's the first metric I look at. The rule of thumb for me is that if it's over 1% on the ad CTR and over 1% on a website CTR, I leave it alone. Now, of course, there's always an outlier, such as if the ad is getting less than 1%, but it's getting conversions, I'll leave it alone because it's generating conversions. But I like to have my ads with a solid 1% or above click-through rate, and then I also like to see that they are generating conversions, and that really depends on what the objective is. Is it to get leads, registrations, checkouts, all the above? Well, if I'm getting leads for less than $5 and getting a checkout for every $25 I spend, and the product is making me, let's say the revenue is $100, well, then I know that the ad's doing great and I want to scale it. I want to put more money into the campaign. So I'm really looking at multiple variables, but I want to make sure the ads are getting clicks. I want to make sure people are clicking through, and then I want to make sure it's generating a conversion. So you really need to understand your numbers. If a product is $50 and it's costing you $40 to acquire a checkout and you're still making $10, that's great. Scale. Now, if you're spending $50 and your ad costs $50, you're spending $50 and your product that you're selling is $50, you're not making anything. So it may make sense to cut back the ads that aren't working and just fine-tune the ones that are and then scale from there. It just takes a lot of management with your data, and if you're choosing between one ad or the other, you want to choose the one that's obviously generating those conversions. Same goes with your ad sets. Which of the audiences are generating the majority of your sales?
That's really smart. And I think one good resource for you guys I might be able to get you one of the spreadsheets. It's a very basic spreadsheet, but a spreadsheet that we still use to track that data. There's also really cool sites like Improvely is a tracking source that you can create links on and then track through your funnel what you're paying to acquire a customer, and what you're paying in ads. And then obviously you might have things like upsells in your product funnel, or you might have cross sells, different products you're selling. So all those things will help you determine what your lifetime customer value is versus the cost to acquire that customer. And the end goal with marketing and advertising, as it always has been in business, is to acquire customers for less than the revenue, for less than the revenue you're making from them, right? So you're basically buying customers with advertising. So as long as you can keep that down, you can scale that infinitely. It just might mean you're spending more to make more, but your goal as you scale that up is to improve those numbers, and that's what it's all about. At the end of the day, is what you're trying to do here. So I just wanted to finish this up, David, with you for the next maybe 5 minutes, answering some questions, guys. What kind of questions pop up as far as Facebook stuff? I got one here from Matt asking about horror stories about accounts getting shut down. Any ideas or thoughts for some safe guidelines for people to think about?
Yeah, a lot of accounts are getting shut down because the ads and the landing page that you're driving people to have false claims, or they're not compliant from a sense of including a privacy policy, a terms of service, so on and so forth. So a lot of the accounts that I see that have this issue is, well, first, the landing page are making claims that cannot be backed up or verified. So money claims, mostly money claims are the ones that get your account shut down. Weight loss claims, anything that is a result that can't be verified in that instance. Now, if someone says, David and David helped me grow my business by 4x, that's fine because there's no definitive number. Now, if someone says, oh, David helped my business grow by $106,240.20, well, No, sorry, can't do that. It's too exact and they can't verify it. So it has to do a lot with claims, has to do a lot with the legalese that's missing, privacy policy, terms of service, a contact us page, possibly even an earnings disclaimer, things like that. And then also simply just the messaging on your page is different from the messaging on the ad. So if you're saying in the ad that you're going to help people with, let's say, getting more leads for their business, and they land on your page, and the business says, get 20x more leads today, leave your email and I'll show you how, well, there's a mismatch there. I mean, you're saying you're going to help them get leads, but then on this page you're saying you're going to get them 20x more leads, and then you didn't mention in the ad that you were going to have to sign up for the details. You didn't make it clear as to what they had to do in order to obtain whatever it is you're trying to give away. So you have to make sure that your ad messaging and your landing page are relevant, but also very clear and, well, truthful. And that's where a lot of people are having issues with their accounts. Also, a lot of the industries that people are in that are banned, there are people running ads and they're like, I don't know why my account's getting shut down. Well, you can't really run weight loss. You can't run a lot of make money online type of stuff. You can't run BizOp. There's ways around it, but those are just a lot of the niches that they don't like. They don't like people promoting gun stuff very often. They don't like anything that's drug related. And a lot of the people that get their accounts shut down, they'll say, oh, I don't promote stuff like that. Well, then they probably did the latter, which is they had false claims or they didn't follow the compliance guidelines with how a landing page is supposed to be structured. So in order to avoid it, honestly, read the compliance from Facebook, read the whole thing, read the terms and conditions. You need to understand what it is they are looking for. And at the same time, look at the pages that appear on your news feed, because a lot of the people that are advertising on your feed are probably doing it right. So just look at their landing pages, see what they include. Do they include a logo? Do they not? Do they have a bunch of links in the footer? Do they not? Take notes and then just apply a lot of the things that your competitors are doing for your own pages, and then you'll be okay. Same thing goes with your ads.
And that goes right back to the first things we were saying is look at what your competition is doing as far as learning where to start from. There's so much you can learn from your competition that can really help you just skip a lot of the hard steps to figure out what's working, what's not going to work. Instead of just making an educated guess, you can go off what's already working and then you can tweak from there. And I don't want to say, copy people to a T, but learn from them, replicate what's working, the elements that are working, and put your own twist on them. David, I got a really, really great question here from Cliff, and I think we can both discuss this. But Cliff said on the average, once you have a profitable campaign, how long does the campaign stay profitable? Is it 2 weeks, 3 months, 1 year, based on your experience before you take it down? I know it depends from offer to offer, but I would like to know how long, because the amount of work involved for creating each offer is obviously a lot. Cliff, before I hand this over to David, he'll give a much better answer than I will, I'm sure. But I would say it is, yes, it totally depends on offer to offer. I've seen them go until that audience has seen the ad, until basically the audience has seen the ad so much it's gotten a little bit watered down. I've seen it go on for months. Like we have an offer that's still going strong, same offer. I think we're at 6 or 7 months on the offer. Some of the things that you can do, though, I'm not saying you have to always go out and create another offer, but you finding other subsection of that niche. So like I said, taking your maybe your opt-in list from that custom audience section and going back into the audience insight editor, finding similar interests, and then doing new ads that target similar interests that are related. So that's what we call horizontal scaling. So we're going sideways. We're not targeting the same people with the same offer. We're targeting related people with the same offer, where we can kind of angle the new ads to saying, hey, you like almond milk, you might also like this protein powder. Instead of just going after people that, oh, you work out a lot, here's the protein powder. So I'm vertically going out. I might go to someone who likes healthy choice food and say, you eat healthy, here's the protein to mix with your food, whatever. That's a really terrible ad. Don't use that. But that's the idea there with horizontal scaling. And the other one is you can also create new like front ends. Like if you're doing an opt-in capturing leads to sending them somewhere, you can just change that front end piece and keep the offer the same. If you have a really good physical product you're selling and you have a free plus shipping in front of it, you can change the free plus shipping offer and keep the rest of it. So you don't always have to change all the hard work. It's just swapping out the small pieces. So it's either changing the front ends, changing the horizontal scaling of who you're talking to in your audience, or if the offer is just dead and maybe it's a pop culture related offer, something that popped up in the media and something like that, there will be an end date to all of these. And it's when you run out of audience to show it to. And David, you can add
Mhm.
anything that you think I missed.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it uh, very, very well. I mean, we have a campaign that's run for like 8 months. We haven't changed it. Same ads and everything. Every market is going to respond differently, but the rule of thumb that I see is that it really depends on whether or not the objective of the campaign is short term or long term, right? So if you have, let's say, a webinar ads are good for around 7 to 14 days if you allow enough time in between for people to forget about the webinar that you had in that moment. So if I have a webinar today and then I have another one in 2 weeks, I could use the same ads again because I still have to exhaust the audience that I didn't get to fully target before. But if I keep using those same ads every 2 weeks, same offer, same webinar, just keep doing it, by the third or fourth time the ads go stale. So that's not a specific time frame, it's just how often have people seen the ad. Also, for let's say something that's a little more evergreen, something that's more long term, let's say it's you want to gather some leads and then they're going to take them through a sales process to eventually buy a product. Well, some ads will be great for 7, 14, 21 days, but by the time you get to, let's say, day 30, you need to look at your overall click-through rates and have they been declining? Have the checkouts been declining? Have less people been adding your product to the cart? You have to see whether or not there is stability in the clicks and the conversions, or has the ad sort of dipped and now all of the numbers are going downward. And if you start to notice that trend, that is when you know that it's time to change your ad. Facebook gives you a great graph to see where things are starting to dip. And in some of my campaigns, I could see where there was a high and where there's a low. But I like to find that baseline. So that's when you know you're able to, okay, I think it's time to start changing the ad creative. Maybe it's time changing the audiences. And, you just have to follow that curve inside of the graphs that are inside of your Facebook ad account.
Well, that was a super thorough and awesome, awesome answer. Cliff, I hope that that answered your question. We're running out of time here. We only have an hour today. So, David, I am going to, unless anyone else has any other questions, going to let you go because I'm going to do a little bit of a demo here for everyone on Ad Respark and then talk about 2.0 in the next 10 minutes. So, last call for questions here. Awesome, Cliff. Glad it helped. For everyone who is on this, we will be putting the replay up. And I know we went over a lot of information in here. So if I can remember the three things, hopefully everyone else can remember the three things from today. It's testing quickly, testing a lot, ad congruency, and knowing your audience, right? The very important three things that you need to do for advertising. All right, David, we don't have any other questions. I really appreciate you being on here, and I'm sure everyone else does as well.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
All right, I will talk to you soon. And in the meantime, I am going to pull up the next thing to talk about. So for a lot of you, I'm sure the Ad Respark system makes sense. It's easy to use. There were a lot of people that were having some trouble with it as far as just trying to figure out how to use it the right way. So I just wanted to do a short tutorial, kind of just walking through everything, and you guys can ask questions if you have any issues. But to preface this whole thing, what I really want to talk about is that when I created this and my team helped create it, we basically came through and wanted to create a way to create all the different ads in one quick setting. Like I just had so much like such a hard time with my clients and such a headache trying to get ads created. I had to go to my designers and I literally was paying $50 to $100 for banner pack to get these done for my clients. So we're just plowing through the budgets that we had for our clients. So I was like, there has to be a better way. Went to other places, started using Fiverr. It just sucked. So I wanted to come up with a system. So you guys literally came in as all this stuff is being finished and out, and all the new features are coming in. Like we have animated GIFs coming soon. We'll have drag and drop is the next features that are coming out. Now I am going to also say that I'm not quite sure if I want to release some of these features yet to you. I might be holding these on to take them into 2.0 so that we can move to 2.0 faster. 2.0 is going to be super exciting, but that's kind of the goal that we made with this. So the idea is you have pre-made, pre-tested campaigns. So what we did was we went through Facebook, we found great ads. We went through websites, we found great ads that we're using. We went through some of these competitive analysis tools and found ads that were running with good statistics that had lots of likes and shares and the virality that we wanted to see. And we took them to our design teams, and then we had to rebuild all the banner packs without just using their exact images. We couldn't do it. So then we had to relayer them, put them back in the software. So an example here would be this ad, which I love. So I might put in, this is a testing ad. I would choose the different sizes that I want for the ad. And you'll see the sizes that we have currently are for web retargeting and for Facebook. In 2.0, I'm going to be opening this up to Twitter ads, Pinterest ads, YouTube thumbnails, for YouTube advertising to put on your videos, and also Shopify banners. So like on your Shopify stores, if you want to put up banners. So it's going to have all the different stuff. The idea again is to be able to customize one and be able to customize everything. So I'm going to go ahead and load my template, and you'll see up here in the top left that I have all my different ad types already laid out here, and they're already organized. Now, once 2.0 comes out, we'll have really cool drag and drop functionality where you can drag the text elements over. You can make them bigger, smaller, change these elements, change the backgrounds. But this is what it looks like right now. So the cool thing is I can create ad borders. So any colors that I want on my borders coming out. I love to test with borders as a feature that I put in just for myself, basically, because I love testing red and green borders. And David talked about this before, that some niches don't really like the borders so they see them so often. But honestly, I still do them, and sometimes I still do them in internet marketing, which is like a big no-no. But I do it because I want my ads to stand out when you're scrolling through. It does look kind of tacky, so I don't do it a lot of times, especially if you're going for like a really nice brand. But if you're doing something with brand colors, let's say your brand colors are like orange, and you have pieces of orange, it looks actually really good to frame it. And some of the websites that ask for these banners, they want borders. So maybe not like a 9-pixel border, but they want to have a little bit of a border on them so people know that they're not like integrated in their website. So you can easily turn them off if you don't want them. The next thing is I like to start with putting in my background image. So I'm going to go ahead and open up. I have a whole folder of stock photos and cool stuff like that we can share with you guys soon. But if I was going to put in an image, I can change. And once I put it in one, you'll see it's in all of them. Now, obviously, it's a white background image. And I can't read my text now. But the cool thing is that we also added what's called a color overlay. So this was actually a really difficult feature to install with this editor. But you can basically choose a color to put on, and not all the colors are going to look great as an overlay. Like this doesn't look that great, right, as yellow. But if I wanted to put a little bit of a darker color back there, like a gray or something like that on my ad, now if I put a little bit of a gray there, I can even go a darker color if I wanted. I can go lighter gray, and then I can change my darkness. I can lower my darkness a little bit. So now what happens is my text is really standing out, and my image is still the same. Now we've also created a way, and you can change opacity and stuff too, so you can make the image a little bit lighter in the background so it's not so painful. But we made it also so you can edit the image. Like let's say you wanted it to be this part, you can drag it down, or you can use our crop sizer up here to change the cropping. So let's say I want to get her eyes in this picture. So I can do an ad that looks just like this. Okay, that's simple. I might, I want to darken this a little bit more, so perfect, okay? Now, I want to put some color into it. Now, this ad itself has some extra elements. So these layers, and you can see their layers by the fact that they get transparent when you roll your mouse over them. But I might want this to be, a really cool banner with some red lines to really draw your eye to that white. So all I did was change the colors. Now I have my text there. Now I can come back in here. I can change my text to anything you want. Like, are your customers looking for you? I can change my fonts. I'm really a big fan of Open Sans. I use it a lot in my different brands, client stuff. I don't know why. It's just one of my favorite fonts. Open Sans, bold. Got my fonts on there. Guys, if you don't have some of these fonts are all the fonts that you have on your computer. If you don't have any, we have some downloads here. You can go to download fonts. It takes you to DaFont. On DaFont, you can download free fonts, and you can use them directly in here. So you don't have to just be limited to web fonts that we give you. You can use those. And if you haven't noticed, we also put in a really cool thing called download images in here. This will take you to a free stock photo site that Devin and I found. So you guys can use that and get free stock photo, all the free stock photo you want in the background for all these images. Now you can also test these Facebook ads, go through, check if you have the right amount of text. You'll see here that says I have too much text. Here's the problem, is that this is an estimation tool. So really what it's trying to do is it's trying to block everything, but this text is outside of the blocks. So really I would be in my 20% if I had the actual amount, but this is an estimation tool. So like if I kept my text going and it was these full 2 blocks, I'd be over. Okay, so you can use this just for the Facebook timeline ad. Facebook PPE, you don't need to use as much because you're using typically like a blog post or something like that. That's page post engagement. Now, when I flip to these other banners, you'll notice that my text has changed, but my image haven't. And there's a reason for that, is that we wanted to be able to allow you to edit the individual banners as you wanted, but keep some things consistent, colors, text, fonts, all that kind of stuff consistent to match these other banners. So this one I'm going to drag back down. I'm going to change that. I'm going to flip this over to gray again. Probably clicking on things helps. Pop it over to gray. So now I have my next banner, and I'll just do this for these because again, we wanted to have this editing function really work for this specific type of system. Before we had it where all the images went and it kind of messed things up. For the web one, they'll probably be very similar, but we'll talk about that in a bit. But so you'll see I'll go through here. I got all this together. I have my text, I have my images. I like this ad. I really do. I think this is a great ad. I would just go to, don't do that. Don't go to new campaign. Now go to export and then just choose where you want to export your files to. So I don't think you guys can see it, but I've clicked export and it's taking me to my desktop. And the next button that I hit is just open. And as soon as I click open, it's going to save all those files directly to that folder on my desktop. So I chose desktop. It's going to open them up. Let's see if I can share the testing. So it's in a folder called testing because that's what I named this campaign. And you'll see all the files are in here and they're all sized exactly as I exported them with the image that I just did. So this is the cool thing about it. Now I'm going to switch back to Respark. Now the cool thing is I have this banner out there. Now one of the things that I recommend doing is once you have that banner exported, change the name of the folder on your desktop. So name this testing exported, okay? You can't see me doing it, I just changed it on my desktop. I just changed the name of the folder that all the images were in. And the reason being is because now I can make an entirely new ad, exact same. I don't have to re-customize it again. I can just mess with it right here. Oh, let's do this one, but let's do a border this time. Let's add that same red that we have on this and see how it looks. It's gonna lock it in a little bit. Let's see how these look with a little bit of a border, right? So now I can re-export them and click export again. And now I have a banner with borders. I have a banner with no borders. I could come back again, change that folder again, come back again, change my text. I want to try it out with different text. That's really bad ad copy, so don't do that. But now I can go back through and re-export again, right? So I can do this as many times as I want. I can change, let's say this font's too big. I want to change down to 50. Basically what I've done is I've given myself 3, 6, 10 different ads that are very similar. I can change, let's say I want to change my background image to another one and just try something different. So let's go into the stock photos. Give me 1 second. I wanted to change it into, let me find a good image. I guess it's not really important. This one, this guy. Now I've already, it kept my overlay color, so that's still there, so I don't really have to mess with anything. I can keep it darker or lighter as I want it. But now I can export it again with my border. I can take off my border and do it again. So now I can have, again, the 6, 10 different ads that I want, all exported and ready to go into Facebook. So that's really the power of this system. And again, it's giving you a base to use. You don't have to figure out design. Like I went to try to design something the other day and it just took me forever because I just didn't know where to put the elements. I didn't know what I was doing really with it. And it was extremely, extremely frustrating. So that's what this is all about. Now, again, we've started work on 2.0. 2.0 is really cool. So what we're thinking is the drag and drop features for text, for elements, for backgrounds. You'll still have the overlay colors. You'll have the new ad sizes that will come in. You'll also have the ability to save ads, which is really cool. So you'll be able to save them and then go back to them. Like, let's say you really love this ad, you didn't want to have to go rebuild it again. You can save it and it'll save all the ads that you have bulked together. And guys, I didn't mention this, but while you're editing, if you decided that you wanted to remove or add ads, you can just unclick them. And now you'll notice I only have 2 ads. But if I want to add another ad back, I can just click add again and bam, all those ads are back in, okay? So just like that, I have like this one doesn't look good because it's not in the right place, but I might also want to change this to that. It's probably not going to look good, but that's different. But I'll have all these different ads. Now the last thing that we're going to do as well is have a lot more banners. So we're putting in 10 new banners right now, all based on high converting web retargeting ads. But we're going to be putting in all new categories for e-commerce sections, putting in ones for webinar registration pages, putting them in for lead generation. I think we have 8 categories. I can't remember them all off the top of my head, but we'll have the different categories. We're getting our design team ready to go to get all these new banner packs put together for everyone. And eventually, just so you guys know where our vision is, Ad Respark probably 3.0 will also have the ability to hopefully be able to connect and pull reporting from these ads directly into your Ad Respark system. And this is all going to be on a website. So it's going to be, you'll log into a website, and you'll be able to, connect with your Facebook or Twitter or Pinterest. You'll be able to see how these ads are converting based on what you created. So you can actually look at the top converting ads in your account and then go through and make a couple more based on saved ads. So again, what I want to make for you guys, and I'm really dedicated to doing this, is making an all-inclusive software that just really helps you create ads quickly based on templates and allows you to edit them and get everything done quickly and fast. I just want to eliminate the process of just the creatives. I hate how long it takes to do the creative side of things. And if you're like me, I just want to get these up and tested. I just want to see my ads work. I want to test the copy and all that kind of good stuff. So we're going to be continuing to work on everything. You guys came in as a founder in our masterclass. So as you go through, if you're finding things that you would like, that you think are cool or you don't think are cool, whatever it is, let us know. We really want to learn what it is that we can do to make this like the best possible software that you would just love to use every day in your business. And that's about it from me, guys. I've been talking nonstop, I feel like, for the past hour. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to put them into the chat. I will happily answer anything before we go. Otherwise, I'm going to wrap up. I will be saving this recording and getting it into the masterclass page so all of you can find this back in your masterclass settings inside the Respark membership. I truly hope that you guys are using the software, or at least getting some Facebook ads out and running. And for those of you who've signed up for Traffic Oxygen, I hope you're starting to see some of the cool things. We just got some new pre-bought, purchased custom audiences from them that are doing some really cool things. Any of you doing CPA or e-commerce stuff, it's a really cool way to scrape a custom audience of people interested in a product or service without having to run ads. Some people are asking, what's Traffic Oxygen? So actually, I'm going to switch over to the masterclass section. So you'll see here we have some videos. And by the way, if anyone has Photoshop, I put in a cool little training. I was helping someone the other day, and I figured this might be helpful. Just how we were taking their Shopify store products, and we were just removing the background so you could upload them into Ad Respark very easily. And it just shows you how I just used a quick paint bucket and a removal tool to get rid of backgrounds, make them clear PNG. It's pretty cool, 2 minutes. But the one down here called our secret real-time bidding platform. So Traffic Oxygen is an RTB platform, real-time bidding platform. And guys, this is brand new. This has not even been released yet. I literally met the guy who runs this at a mastermind about a month ago, and been working with him one-on-one. His name is Chris Ormanson. Just great, super smart guy. They've done some really cool stuff. They've plugged into some Google networks and stuff like that, and they actually are cutting down the cost of clicks. Like Facebook and Perfect Audience and all these other networks, they charge you based on clicks, and they can aggregate costs because they're the ones running the service. These guys are like, hey, let's get you more traffic and cut down the cost. So to get clicks on their site, like you can run ads on their site on people's websites and stuff like that, you can get cost per click up to 60% off. We're getting clicks, I think, for literally like 30 cents on some of our stuff, like ridiculously low clicks on websites that we're choosing. We're saying go after these websites and we're getting clicks for like 30 cents. And they have retargeting in there. And they also have this really cool thing called pre-built custom audiences. And they will literally go out there because they have access to all the ad networks. They will go out there and aggregate custom audiences for you. So they're like grouped together. You can buy, I think we bought a $50,000 one, $50,000, 50,000 person custom audience for $500. So for $500, we got an audience that could take you, what, months of time in Facebook to aggregate. And then you can then send out ads to them or retarget to them, which is really, really cool. Now he gave me a special link for you guys to sign up. It's totally free to sign up. Obviously, you have to put in money. It's a real-time bidding platform, so you have to put in money to run the ads there. But you guys can get signed up right now. They are launching this, I think later this month or early next month. So you guys all get like early access to it, and they're really, really cool to help you out if you have any issues with it. It's a little bit cumbersome at first. I've been trying to help them a little bit with their user interface stuff. They're having a little bit of issues with the user interface, but a really cool system. Recommend you check it out. You also see we have some other helpful videos in here. Devin and I are coming out with 2 new videos either this week or early next week to get in here. And I also want to get in a couple more stock photo training stuff in here. So you guys will all find that in the Respark Masterclass section. And just FYI, if no one has signed up yet, the monthly conversion downloads, if you haven't got this yet, you guys all got upgraded for free for being in the masterclass. So if you come in here, you can upgrade and get the monthly conversion downloads part of Ad Respark, and that's where you get all the extra banners each month. So yeah, I think, Diane, I think I answered your question. Anything else, guys? I'll give it just a couple seconds here. If no one has any other questions, I truly appreciate everyone coming out. I know we ran a little bit late, an hour and 10 minutes, but appreciate you all. Diane, before I sign up for this, there was a video that you were explaining retargeting, but I haven't seen that video. Yes, that was a video that I did for training for everybody for free with Devin, and I will put that video in the masterclass series. If you have not watched it, I will put that up. It's a really cool hour-long presentation of just me talking about retargeting. You missed the part, Tony, about getting upgraded for free. Yes, I sent out an email. Everybody that came in is now upgraded for free. This was an upsell. If you bought the upsell, don't worry. We voided all payments and gave it to you for free. So everyone got this for free. It's just this button. If you click it, you'll see you go in. And this is just a new download. It's going to you want it to replace the original Ad Respark that you have, because this has a unique feed on it where we just add the new banners in. Like I said, we have 10 new banners coming out probably next week to play with. I will say those will just come in as the main banners. They won't be in the monthly conversion pack. So you'll see those just in the main center. So the main download center is just right here. Originally, we were going to sell everyone on the monthly package where you can upgrade. But I really wanted to make sure everyone was really taken care of, that you guys had a great experience with this masterclass. I wanted to teach you guys. I want to get you going. So I hope you're enjoying it, and I will let you guys all go. Cool. I'm seeing a lot of thanks, but I want to thank all of you again coming out. Talk to everyone soon. If you have questions, send them into our support desk. We're here to help you. Talk to you all soon. Bye-bye.